Shalom Israel, and welcome to another edition of Yasharah's 20-minute breakdown, where I'll attempt to break down the scriptures within 20 minutes. But first and foremost, as always, you know how we do. We give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Wahar, Rakah, Kadash, and the Akams and the elders in the highways and byways pushing this word in truth and sincerity. All praises. And the elder women teaching the younger women. All praises to you too. And the camps and the solo brothers going out there, making videos, edifying the body, pushing the truth according to scriptures. All praises. Now, what I'm going to do today is something a little different. I've got a few clips I'm going to play today under the Fair Usage Act, which I'll put on the screen. These clips that I'm going to show as well, they're not mine. I didn't put them together, but it's for educational and learning and teaching purpose. So as we get into the lesson, you'll see. But with that said, now the lesson I want to touch on today is two things I want to touch on: the Deceiver and the Sell-Out. Now, I'm going to start with this Tommy G. Now, Tommy G is a YouTuber, and he wanted to meet some of the Israelites, as he likes to call it, or he says we call ourselves, the black Israelites, which we don't call ourselves the black Israelites. We call ourselves Israelites because we come in many different shades. And number one, we ain't black. We're different shades of brown. And there's even some people that look Caucasian, has the Caucasian skin color, but they can trace their forefathers back to, an Israelite. So number one, it's not about skin color. So Tommy G has got this all wrong, because he talks about, when in his video, which when I play it you'll see, about how the Israelites hate white people and hate like gays. Now, number one, there is no white person on the planet, because if you look at anything white, there's nobody that is white, just as much as there's nobody that is black. You have people that is of a brown complexion, from very, very dark brown to very, very light brown. And the Caucasians, you are not white. What you are, as the Bible says, when you go to Genesis 25, you are different shades of red. Some of you are very reddish, and some of you are kind of like pinkish, but it's still like a derivative of red, because why? We can see the blood through your skin. So let's get that clear first and foremost. So now this Tommy G gets invited to the ISUPK school, which stands for Israel School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Now he gets invited to their school to interview the general, I think it's General Yohana, if I'm saying his name correct, pardon me if I'm not, and some of the other like teachers and elders in ISUPK. Now, here's the thing. Now, on basis of the one camp, which, ISUPK, I find very radical. And, not all camps are like this. But what he's going to do, he's gone to one camp out of many. Like there's, many camps that are out there that other brothers that are teaching a different style and a different way of ISUPK. So he's going to use what he's learned of ISUPK, and he's pushed it out to every Israelite now practicing Israelite on the planet. That's what he's done. So he's going to generalize by one camp he's spoken to. He's labeled every camp. And what you'll see when I play the clip, which I'll play shortly when I start my timer, he shows a picture of IUIC, the group that are in purple, and then he shows some other groups, and he labels them all as one. Now, one thing we all have in common, we all believe that you must have faith in the Messiah and you must keep the laws of the Most High. That's what we all believe. that's what we all believe as a general way for salvation. And we do believe that, yes, like, you know, Israelite salvation is for Israel. The Israelites are true Israelites. But what you can't do is all these other stuff. You now, just because you interview one camp with very radical views and teachings, you've now labeled every camp, every organization, once they are Israelite, you know, once they're professing Israelite, and you've put them all under the banner of Black Israelites. That's what you've done. And that's why I call you a deceiver. You, Tommy G, you are a deceiver. Because when he was invited to the ISUPK school, I'm sure they didn't know he was going to label the video he do of them inside a hate group, the Black Israelites. I'm sure that ISUPK didn't know that this is how he was going to label the documentary he claims that he was coming to see what they're about and so forth. I'm sure they didn't know this is how this was going to turn out, and this is how he was going to label their group. And I must say this before I actually play you that clip. I mean, his documentary he done on them labeled inside a hate group, the Black Israelites, is about 33 minutes long. But I'm going to just show you, first few minutes, and then we're going to, start the time and get into this lesson. But I will say this, ISUPK, you are partly to blame. And I'll tell you why I say this. Because you should never have your enemy, let's say, inside your belly. You should not be inviting them in your camp to see your training sessions, your teaching sessions, and your workouts and so forth, things like that. Those things should have been kept closed to members. An outsider should not be invited into your operations and your workings of your organization. It's fine if you're on the street and he comes up, or like someone of another nation comes up and they inquire. You be respectful and you give them the word of the Most High according to the Bible. But what you don't do is invite them inside your organization to see your workings. So now he feels he has a better insight of what you do, what you're about. And then he puts up his video slating the hell out of you lot. Basically, that's what that is. So I have to say, ISUPK, you are partly to blame. Never have someone of another nation come inside to see what you're about. We don't owe them no explanation. We are for Israelites, to Israelites, to teach our people, to bring them back to who they are and what they must do. Someone of another nation's, we owe them nothing to show them what we're about and what we teach and so forth. We don't owe them that. Yeah. So we have to bear that in mind. We are for our people, just like those Caucasian Jews. They're for their people. Show me a time when those Jews invite you into their schools to let you see what they're about and their teachings and their business acumens and things like that. They won't do that. Even the Indians won't do that. The Chinese won't do that. Why are we doing that? So come on, we have to learn and grow from these mistakes. So with that said, I'm going to start my timer and I'm going to play the first clip I'm going to play. So with that said, I'm starting my timer in 3, 2, 1. Boom, we're away. Let's go. Now here's the first clip. Stay tuned.
We want no cowards in our camp, Only men prepared to die.
Dick! You UPK, right? Yeah! UPK!
This world thinks that we're a cult and that we're crazy and that we're criminals simply because we teach what Jesus Christ taught 2,000 years ago.
In 2024, with access to the internet, if you hate another group because of the color of their skin, you're a fool.
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go.
These are the Black Israelites, and they've been designated as a hate group. They hate a lot of different types of people, but they reserve their highest level of hatred for gay people and white people. They believe that Jewish people are imposters and that they, the Black Israelites, are the true descendants of Israel and thereby the chosen people of God. Furthermore, they believe that when Black Jesus comes back for the rapture, that they will take over the earth and enslave the Caucasians and Asians. Now, they call themselves the Black Israelites, but probably because recruiting numbers were awfully low, they began to include Latinos and Native Americans under their umbrella. To better understand how these guys think and operate, I thought it would be a good idea to send the whitest guy in my crew, Keegan, to spend 3 days with them in Harlem, New York. What you will see in today's episode will be a combination of me personally meeting this faction of the Black Israelites and fly-in-the-wall footage from Keegan after he embedded with them a couple weeks previously. I'm genuinely perplexed on how people can hate each other in 2024, especially with things like internet access and most of us being able to learn from the ugly parts of human history. So let's unravel this mystery together, and buckle up folks, because this episode gets intense and confrontational.
The white man has gotten so good at just saying stuff and people believe it that he just says shit like, and everybody like
The so-called white man decides to be rich. What will the white man do to be rich? Anything!
I'm about the kingdom of heaven where black people rule instead of white. And we get to do all the wonderful things that white people did to us, we get to do it to them.
I tell the black man, you the greatest man that ever walked the face of the earth. And God loved you more than he loved the white man. God hate the white man because of what he did to you.
Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go.
Morning. How are you, brother? Tommy.
Tommy
Yes.
C or Tommy Cooper?
Tommy G.
Tommy
Yes.
G, I'm sorry, Tommy G.
Tommy Cooper might be nice though. We should probably go for that.
So Keegan's not coming today?
Keegan's parking.
He's parking,
I
okay.
can hardly park in New York. It's
Yeah,
hard
I
for me.
know it's hard to park.
Where's Keegan?
Keegan, he's parking.
Okay, how are you?
Tommy.
What's going on?
Nice to meet you.
Don't disrupt what's currently happening, all right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I was invited. Yeah.
These are brothers who came out of the world. These brothers going through a process where you're purging the old man out of you to become the new man that you want to be. And that does not happen without pain.
Apparently, they've been here since 6 a.m. I admire discipline. I admire dedication. And I admire people that are willing to wake up early and get after it.
This is the first day of Hebrew Academy for the year 2025. This is to help get brothers prepared to strengthen themselves physically, but also to keep them motivated to continue.
Hustle up, let's get back, come on.
What's up, brother? Good to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
How are you?
I'm all right, yourself?
First, I gotta say, your fashion, man, is unbelievably on point right now.
Thank you, I appreciate
Can you describe what you got going on?
Oh, okay, I'm gonna give you this visitor
Yes, visitor
pass. That
pass.
way we don't whip your ass in.
Yeah, I was actually seeing if I could join.
No, you can't join.
Why is that?
Cause you're not the race that we're allowed to join with.
What race you gotta be?
You gotta be one of the 12 tribes of Israel. In North Central and South America, they're primarily blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. So if your father's like of Negroid descent, Native Indian descent, Dominican or something like that, then you could join in. But if he's not one of them, you can't join in.
What percent do I gotta have?
Your daddy just gotta be there, it's no percent. Even Jewish people say that you're Jewish according to your mother, but the Bible says it's according to your father. So like for us, Bob Marley is a white man.
Can you break that down for me?
Because if you ever look up Bob Marley's father, Bob Marley looks like his father in blackface. Because
So
Bob
my
Marley's father
mom
is white.
could be a beautiful black queen, but if my dad's white, I'm out.
That's right.
I'm gonna need your help reading one of these words, but can you say what that shirt says?
This brother has a shirt, this is ISCPK, and that's called Real Nigga University.
Nice
Now-
to meet you. I'm Tommy.
How you doing?
How are
No
you?
problem. Now, a lot of people, of course, the word nigga has always been a derogatory term for black people in America. But this is also an identifying marker for who the children of Israel are in the Bible. When you go to book of Acts 13, verse 1, they call Barnabas Niger, which is where nigger comes from.
Now, there you have the video. I'm not going to play too much of it because it's going to eat up too much of our time. If you want to see the full video, you'll have to go to his channel and like you've seen the name of it, so you can get it there. Now, I'm going to just start with where it ended, where he showed the shirt of a Real Nigger University, and then he was explaining where the word nigger comes from. It's in the Bible, which is correct. Now, this Tommy G, he puts up that verse as you saw at the end of the clip, just as I ended it. I mean, that's not where the video ends, but where I ended it, he put the verse on the screen. Now here's the problem. He's used the NIV version. Now the NIV version is missing some important words. The reason why I say that, because there's another deceiver called Vocab Malone. Now he has done a lesson on this same video that this Tommy G pulled up, and he's pulled up that verse it was on the screen. Now they're clever how they use it, because one thing you can find with the NIV and the NLT, they're not word for word translations. They are thought for thought translation. Basically, the person who interpreted that in the NIV, he's now thought what it might be saying. He hasn't gone for a word-for-word translation as the King James Version has. Now, when I'm going to put the King James Version up on the screen with that same Acts 13:1, but with the NIV version that Tommy G put up. Now you will notice in the NIV version where it reads, "Now in the church at Antioch were prophets and teachers, Barnabas, Simon called nigger," and then it says Lucius Cyrene. Now notice how in that version it tries to make you believe only Simon was called nigger. But when you read the correct translation, which is translated from word for word translation from the KJV, it reads this: "Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets," that's plural, "and teachers," plural again, as see, that part was missing from the NIV, "as Barnabas and Simeon," that part we're missing the "and" as well, "and Simeon that was called nigger." Then it says, "and Lucius of Cyrene," and, so it's showing you these other prophets. Remember, prophets and teachers was called nigger, which is what we as so-called black people were called in slavery and called today. That's what he was explaining, the guy from ISUPK. But the deceivers, they pulled the other version where words are missing, so it'll only look like it's only saying only the one person was called Simon, the nigger, not all the prophets and teachers. And then it gives you a list as Barnabas and Simeon and Cyrene and Lucius. So it gives you more people that was called nigger, not just Simeon, as Vocab Malone, when he went on his channel and he did a lesson on this with this other, woman of color, as they like to pull our women to go against what we teach. And, our women do it great. When you want to side with the other nations, you will stab your own race in the back for the other races. You do it profoundly. Now, with that said, I want to jump to the book of Romans, chapter 12 and verse 10, and it reads, "Be kindly affectionate one to another with brotherly love, in honor, preferring one another." So you see, we are commanded to prefer one another, our own Israelite brothers and sisters. So what ISUPK are doing isn't wrong. They are, going and preferring their own people. You have the so-called white Jews. They prefer each other. They have their own community. Another race can't join their schooling system. Another race can't, be ahead of their banks, their industry, their infrastructure. They won't let another race be ahead or join those things. So when we prefer our own people, now we're a hate group. Now watch this. I'm going to jump to the book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 14 and verse 32. Listen to this. 1 Maccabees, chapter 14 and verse 32, and it reads, at which time Simon rose up and fought for his nation. You see that? Simon rose up and fought for his nation and spent much of his own substance and armed the valiant men of his nation and gave them wages. Now, that was the point I want to make on there. Even showing you, even back in them days, you see that Israelites, they would fight for their own nation. They're not fighting for the other nations, the heathen. They're fighting for their own nations, to bring their own nation back under, subjection to the Most High God, and, to do what's right for their own nation. Now, this is for ISUPK with respect. Listen to this. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 12 and verse 16, and it reads, "An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood." Verse 17, "If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. And though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee." And that's exactly what Tommy G did to ISUPK. Let them believe he was doing a documentary, a fair documentary, to see what they're about. But no, he already had his agenda, and his title was Inside a Hate Group, the Black Israelites. Now, that doesn't shed a good light. The title alone makes other people who watch it hair stand already on the back of their necks, even before they start watching it, just by its title. So, Tommy G, you're a deceiver. Now, with that, before I run out of time, I want to now deal with the sellout, Kemi Badenoch, who was now appointed the leader of the Conservative Party. Now, I want to play a clip where she was interviewed by CBN News. Now, listen to what she says when she's asked questions on reparations and the topic of slavery comes up. Watch this.
This is the past. We need to talk about the future. There are many countries now who want to use guilt to try and exploit the UK. They ask for reparations. I saw it as a trade minister. It's not culture wars. I was at the WTO. I won't name the minister from another country. And he was telling me that we needed to give up some of the things that we were doing because of colonialism and because they needed time to develop. These arguments are a scam. Don't fall for it. We need to make sure that we put this country first. We work well with our neighbours. We work well with other countries. But we have to look after ourselves too.
Well, I mean, those advocating for reparations would say, shouldn't we just make up for some of the damage we did through slavery? As a black woman saying that, they may find that hard to understand from you.
Well, there are many things that the British Empire got wrong, but there are many amazing things that the British Empire also did. And we need to be honest about that and stop pretending that it was all bad. The British Empire ended slavery, the Atlantic slave trade. We need to talk about that more.
Now, there's what she said, being the new appointed leader of the Conservative Party. And what makes me laugh, how she's asked about reparations. Now, these people have no problem giving those so-called Caucasians who call themselves Jews for what happened to them in the Holocaust under Germany. They were fine giving them reparations, and they're still being paid money even up to this day. But when it comes to what we've been through, not that I want reparations, no, because the Most High is going to fight our battles, tells us in the scriptures. But nevertheless, this is the kind of people we have up running and supposed to be the face for us and the voice for us. They are never. And you hear what she said. We need to look after ourselves and put this country first. Now, it makes me laugh because she thinks she's included in this people of this country, of England. She is not. They will always see her as African, like where they would say she's descended from, or even her parents, even though she may have been born here. She ain't looked on as one of them, even though she's the leader now of the Conservative Party. And, it's funny how, when she was asked about slavery, I mean, these people are clever how they put the questions to her. Now, notice how she brushed that under the carpet. She quickly said, yeah, like there were things that the British Empire got wrong. But let's talk about what they got right. She don't want to talk about what happened to her people in slavery, the atrocities, and a lot of the laws that still are in place today were put in place in the time of slavery. And slavery, when she tried to say that a lot of what the British Empire got right, they ended slavery and the slave trade. All they did was end the transportation of slaves through the Middle Passage and across the Atlantic and stuff like that. But the slave trade still went on way into the 19th century. So let's not get that twisted. So she doesn't even know what she's talking about, the British Empire ended slavery. That's not the case. And here how the room goes into applause because she's saying what her oppressors want to hear. She's been programmed and she's not an advocate for her people. Now, with that said, I want to quickly read you the book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 11 and verse 21. Listen to this. 1 Maccabees, chapter 11, verse 21, and it reads, "Then came ungodly persons who hated their own people, went unto the king and told him that Jonathan besieged the tower." Now, I brought that point just to show you that, we always have people that won't, even when they're put in a prominent position, they can't and won't speak out for their people. They will always go against and side with the other nations, especially our women. They're great at that. And when she tried to say about ending slavery unless what the British Empire got right. No, because they never ended slavery as such. I mean, let me quickly listen to this. Let me actually read this verse. This is 1 Maccabees again, chapter 2 and verse 10, and it reads, "What nation has not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils?" Showing every nation has had the Israelites, the real Israelites, the blacks, the Hispanics, and the Native Americans. They've always had us in derision, and always had us at the bottom. And even though we may have one here or there that rise up, they still can never do nothing or speak out for their nation. Otherwise, they're flung on the back burner. Listen how the place erupted into applause when she disregarded slavery like it was something that just didn't happen, or it did happen, but it wasn't that bad. You will not get one of those Caucasian Jews that call themselves Jews today that live in Israel. There's a community in Stamford Hill, there's a community in Edgware and different parts of England. You find a so-called Jewish community. You will not hear them go against what happened to them in the Holocaust. You won't hear that. I'm almost out of time, so I need to read this one quickly. This is the book of Lamentations, chapter 4, verse 17, and it reads, "As for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us." And here's the problem right there. We're always looking for the other nations for help and handouts and things like that. We have to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps by returning back to the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. Oh, I'm out of time. So with that, this is Yasharallah. We out.